Hi, I'm Robin from Swig, and I'm here to introduce you to Cupano Brunello di Montalcino, which coincides with the release of a new 2015 vintage. This vintage is one of the outstanding vintages in the lifetimes of many producers, and I've just tried the wine, and it's really gorgeous. Cupano, I came across it in 2006 when the producer was in London with a consortium of other producers. So all the producers of Brunello were in London to show their wares. And I thought, if I'm going to find a Brunello for our customers and say, I think I found the best, I need to taste everyone in the room. So I went around, tasted them all, got to the last table, and blow me, the bottle was empty. But the famous journalist, Chances Robin, was talking to them. They were quite sort of enthralled and distracted. And I remembered seeing Oz Clarke do this a few times at tastings because he's often there quite late at tastings. He's a good raconteur, so it's always good fun to have him with a few drinks at the end of the afternoon. And he gets the bottle and it's empty as well. And what he did was this. And I tried it for the very first time. I was a little embarrassed by it, but I thought, well, if he can do it, so can I. I tipped the bottle up, the drop hit my tongue, and pow! The flavor, the essence of Montalcino and Cupano hit my tongue, and that was it. I was in love. It was so delicious. So that's how I discovered Cupano. I've since been there to the property. I made an appointment very quickly to go and see the winemaker again, Lionel Cousin, who's French, and his lovely wife, Ornella Tondini. They bought some virgin land in southwest Montalcino, and they started planting grapes there into, the first vintage was in 2000. The first real vintage for them was in 2001. And that's the vintage I tried on that occasion. It was incredible. So it was world-class from the very beginning. And the interesting thing about Cupano is I've shown it at many, many tastings and dinners over the years to people who appreciate or let's say drink fine wine from around the world, including the finest Bordeaux that can cost £300 or £400 or £500 a bottle. We put alongside Cupano, which isn't a cheap wine, but it's under £100. And invariably, everyone at the table prefers this wine. The 2015 vintage, well, it's gorgeous as ever. But what I really like about this wine is it's actually quite ready to drink now. There are a few vintages I wait for, and I think it really does need a couple more years before you can really start to tuck in. But this is beautiful. I've let it open for half an hour. I've had a few sips already, and it won't harm it decanting it. But there's this beautiful fragrance from the off. It's not overpowered with fruit that kind of covers up the complexity in the early years. So it's got a lovely fragrance and floral character, slightly incensey, slightly kind of old library kind of aroma with the beautiful fruit of Cupano. It's just lovely. There's a real fine Sangiovese character coming through, which is the great grape of Tuscany. And as ever, it's very, very silky and smooth and velvety, very clean, fine and elegant. This is a hot year. And one of the great things about the Cupano terroir is they've got this fantastic mound of gravel next to a river, and the vines go very, very deep in order to get the water, so they don't stress in the hot summers. And equally, if it's a wet year, the water drains off. So they're good in either year, really. And so it's a real great thing to have good terroir like that. And it's unique. Each vineyard in Brunello for a producer is unique, but Cupano is very special because no one has grown in an area quite like this before. It's organic, which I think is a lovely thing. And yes, it's just got that magic of Cupano. Just a little bit about Lionel Cousin. His mentor was Henri Jaillet, a friend of his who taught him about wine. Henri Jaillet, the late Henri Jaillet, was one of the great legends of Burgundy who believed in organic winemaking, and he taught other people these kind of principles. But one of his philosophies was that you don't want to have a vineyard of more than around 4 or 5 hectares for one person, man or woman, whoever, to farm. Because with that kind of vineyard size, you can really pay attention to every single vine. And around your hectares, you'll find that each bit's slightly different. It's about like your garden, you know, some sort of things grow differently in, you know, from 5 yards to the next 10 yards and so on. The same in a vineyard. So every vine needs to be handled in a unique, special way. And that's what Lionel does. He understood that, he got it. He learned about pruning and farming, and he goes around from around 4 o'clock in the morning in the summer with nail scissors even to prune and attend to his vines in order to get this very, very beautiful fruit, taking off any kind of sort of bit of the grapes that aren't good to let the rest sort of develop. And the other thing that he does, which I think is really fantastic, is he takes off the flowers early in the season in order to reduce the yields. And this is what he learned the hard way in 2001 with the frost on Easter Day. He got this very, very low yield, but this fantastic flavor in that vintage. And he just can't afford not to make great wine. And so he did it his way. And I think he's one of the great, great winemakers of the world, as is this wine. So I commend to you Brunello di Montalcino Cupano, and 2015 is another beautiful vintage. I'm going to try it with some lamb, which I've tried it with Ornella and Lionel in the past. And I've got a bit of rosemary, and I think it's going to be amazing with this wine. Cheers.